Night didn't simply fall in the Middle Ages. It swallowed the world. It came down fast, without warning, like a curtain of black velvet pulled across the sky by a hand you could never see. One moment the fields were glowing with the last traces of orange sunlight. The next, everything became a cold, shapeless void, where your own breath sounded too loud, too alive, too exposed. If you were a modern traveler dropped into that darkness, the first thing you'd notice wouldn't be the lack of light. It would be the silence. A silence so thick it feels alive. A silence that presses against your eardrums until your heartbeat becomes the only sound you trust. There were no street lamps, no neon signs, no cars in the distance, no electricity humming through cables. Nothing. Just blackness. A blackness so absolute it made people question what existed beyond the reach of their own hands. You take a step. The ground crunches beneath your foot. A second step. The sound echoes like a warning. Your eyes try to adjust, but they can't. Medieval darkness wasn't the soft, romantic dimness of a movie scene. It was total blindness. Your pupils stretch wide, desperate for light that simply isn't there. Every shape becomes a threat. Every sound becomes a creature. Every breath becomes a risk. And then the fear begins. Not fear of danger. Fear of not knowing where danger is. In the Middle Ages, night was when the world turned hostile. People didn't wander outside after sunset unless they had a death wish or no other choice. Inside their homes, they barred doors with wooden beams, whispered prayers, and hoped the night passed without incident. You, however, have no home here. No walls, no locks, no safety. You walk deeper into the darkness and quickly realize something horrifying. You don't know what's living out here with you. A rustle in the bushes, a branch snapping in the distance, a low growl that could belong to a wolf or something else. Wolves were not the mythical, noble creatures people imagine today. They hunted at night. They stalked the weak, the alone, the unlucky. Packs followed travelers for miles, waiting for exhaustion, injury, or panic. A single misstep could decide your fate. But wolves weren't the only threat. Bandits lurked along forest edges, knowing villagers were terrified of going outside to chase them. Runaway criminals hid in the shadows, taking advantage of the night's anonymity. And superstition, raw, primal superstition, filled the spaces between every tree, every field, every road. You hear a whisper of wind pass through tall grass and freeze, not because of the sound itself, but because you can't tell if it's the wind. In the Middle Ages, people spoke of spirits roaming the night, demons that clawed at shutters, witches who slipped through the darkness looking for souls, fey creatures that lured the lost into forests from which they never returned. You don't believe in any of that, of course, but you also don't believe how dark this night is, and right now belief doesn't matter. The darkness is winning. Your foot sinks into mud. You stumble. Your hand touches something wet, grass, blood, water. You can't tell. Your breath grows shallow. Your chest tightens. Your mind begins to crack under the weight of everything you can't see. And then, in the distance, you finally spot it, a light. A single flickering glow, a medieval torch. You think it's salvation, until you realize who's holding it. Not a rescuer. Not a friend, not someone who will recognize you as human. Just a silhouette, tall, still. Watching you from the road. And it hasn't moved once since you spotted it. In the Middle Ages, nothing good walked the roads at night. You freeze, the torch flickers. The silhouette remains motionless, not breathing, not shifting, just staring. And suddenly you understand something medieval people knew instinctively. Night was not the absence of light. Night was the presence of everything light kept away. You take one small step backward, and the silhouette finally moves. One slow, deliberate step toward you. The night closes in, and you realize you wouldn't last an hour. The silhouette steps closer, and the torchlight trembles with it, stretching its shadow across the road like a twisted limb reaching for you. Your instincts scream to run, to disappear into the black trees, but your legs refuse to obey. There's a different kind of fear ruling your body now, one that feels older than language. A fear your ancestors once lived with every single night. The figure stops a few feet away. You still can't see the face, only the outline of a hood, and the faint glint of something metallic. Maybe a blade, maybe armor, maybe just wet fabric catching the light. The torch crackles softly. The silence between its flickers feels like a living thing. You open your mouth to speak, to say anything, but the words die before they even form. What would you say? What could possibly make sense in a world where strangers at night were seen as omens? In medieval villages, no one walked after dark unless they had reason, and reason in this world usually meant violence. The figure lifts the torch higher. The flame illuminates dirt paths, frost-coated grass, and your own trembling breath. It also reveals something else. The person isn't alone. Two more silhouettes stand behind the first, blending into the darkness like features carved out of night itself. No armor, no banners, no insignias of noblemen. These men aren't soldiers. They're wanderers, drifters, outlaws, maybe deserters from some forgotten battle, maybe thieves, maybe killers. But one thing is certain. Their presence on the road after sundown is a warning written in human form. You take a step back, then another. Your shoes sink into the soft earth. The cold tightens around your ankles like restraints. What are you doing out here? His torchlight dances over your clothes, modern fabric, clean lines, impossible stitching. Things that cannot exist in his world. You see confusion harden into something worse. Suspicion. You try to answer. The sound that comes out of your throat is broken, desperate, trembling. Not even a real word. The men exchange glances. One mutters something that makes the others shift their weight. In a century ruled by superstition, you don't look like a traveler. You look like a sign, a curse, an omen. A problem no one wants to inherit. The torch moves closer. Heat licks your cheek. You flinch instinctively, and that's enough to set everything into motion. One of the men lunges, grabbing your arm with rough, calloused fingers. His grip is iron. Instinct takes over. You try to pull away, but his strength is from a life of manual labor, not gym resistance bands. The disparity is humiliating. He yanks you hard enough that your shoulder cracks. You gasp, stumbling forward. Another man grabs your other arm. The torchbearer presses the flame so close to your face you feel the hairs on your cheek curl. Your vision vibrates with panic. The night grows colder. Your breath shortens. They drag you toward the trees as the torchlight shakes with their movement. You realize, horribly, that they are not taking you back to the village. They are taking you away from it. Into the forest. Into the darkness. Into the one place no medieval person went willingly after sunset. The trees swallow the path behind you. The moon disappears under thick branches. The world narrows to three strangers, the sound of snapping twigs, and your own heartbeat slamming inside your ears. The men stop. The torch lowers. The night becomes a cage of frost and fear. And then the leader speaks again. His voice is slower this time, colder, as if weighing whether you are worth robbing or worth killing. You shake your head, trembling, trying to explain, trying to beg, trying to communicate. But your words sound alien, twisted by fear and fever. One of the men steps back, making the sign of the cross as if you've spoken a cursed tongue. The leader lifts the torch higher. You see the dirt on his face, the scars on his knuckles, the coldness in his eyes. He studies your clothes one last time. Then he reaches for something behind his belt. Metal glints. Your entire body recoils. But before anything happens, before the blade moves, before your breath can even catch in your throat, a sound tears through the forest. A howl. Long. Low. Too close. The men freeze. The torch flickers violently. Another howl joins the first. This one deeper, closer, vibrating through the ground beneath you. Wolves. Not stories, not myths, not distant echoes. They are here. Hunger drives them. Winter sharpens them. Darkness is their kingdom. The men glance at one another, fear breaking through their harsh expressions. Wolves in the Middle Ages weren't pests. They were nightmares made of flesh and teeth. Packs of them stalked travelers, tore apart livestock, and dragged children from the edges of fields. And right now, they've found you. The leader curses under his breath, snapping a command to the others. One throws you aside like a sack, more concerned with surviving the night than anything you represent. You hit the ground hard, rolling through dead leaves. Pain shoots down your spine. The men circle up, torches raised, blades drawn, eyes scanning the darkness. The howls stop, silence returns, but not the empty silence from before. This one feels like breath held by a predator, waiting, wanting, and you realize with bone-deep dread, you haven't been saved. You've simply been added to the menu. The air changes before the wolves even appear. It thickens, cools, tightens around your ribs like an invisible fist. Every instinct you've inherited from 1,000 ancestors screams the same message. Something is watching you. The torchlight stutters as if the flames themselves are afraid. The men slowly rotate, blades raised, their boots sinking into the wet earth. You can hear one of them breathing too fast, the kind of panicked inhale that fogs the air in quick bursts. Then a twig snaps. Not far. Not deep. Close enough that your skin prickles as if touched by frozen fingertips. A pair of eyes materializes between the trees, glowing amber, fixed, unblinking. Another pair appears to its left, then another behind it. Wolves hunt in silence, and the quiet is the most terrifying part. No growling, no snarling, no dramatic circling like movies show. Just shadows gliding in the dark, assessing, calculating. One of the men whispers a prayer. Another mutters a curse. You try to push yourself up from the ground, but a sharp pain burns through your spine. You manage only to roll onto your side, helpless, feeling the cold bite into your palms. You can smell damp earth, rotting leaves, and something metallic, the scent of fear. The pack steps closer. The largest wolf appears first, its fur dark as the night around it. Its breath fogs the air. Its paws make no sound. Its eyes lock on the men as if choosing which one will die first. The medieval torchlight makes it look almost supernatural. And for people of this world, wolves were supernatural. Omen animals, harbingers of death. Creatures rumored to be controlled by witches, demons, or restless spirits. The man with the torch waves it wildly, shouting something you still don't understand. The flame sputters, sending sparks into the darkness. The wolves pause at the sudden flare of light, but only for a moment. They're hungry. Winter is starving them, and humans are slow prey. The leader of the pack lowers its head, its muscles tense. The forest holds its breath. One of the men panics first. He lunges forward with his blade, shouting, trying to scare the animals off. But fear is clumsy, and wolves are not intimidated by desperation. The wolf closest to him darts sideways, faster than you can track. The man swings at empty air. The pack moves as one organism, one consciousness. A shadow splits off from the group and circles behind the men. Another slips between two trunks so silently it feels like a hallucination. The men shout. You try to stand. Your body refuses. A wolf lunges, not at you, at the man closest to the trees. It hits him low, slamming into his legs. He screams, collapsing into the dirt. The torchlight jerks as the leader spins, trying to defend both himself and the others. The fallen man claws at the ground while the wolf snarls above him, its teeth flashing like wet ivory. Instinctively, you crawl backward, dragging your elbows through the mud, pushing yourself behind the thick trunk of a tree. The bark scrapes your palms. Breath shudders out of you. You don't know whether hiding helps at all. You just need to not be seen. Another wolf darts into the circle, this one going for the torch. It snaps at the flame, causing the man to flinch backward. The torch hits the ground, rolling, extinguishing in the wet leaves with a sickening hiss. Darkness devours everything. You hear metal hitting earth, boots scrambling, a scream that cuts off too quickly. Someone is being dragged. Someone is losing. Humans don't hunt at night, but wolves do. The leader of the men roars something guttural, swinging blindly, but without light he might as well be fighting smoke. A wolf slams into him from behind, its weight knocking him face first into the dirt. He chokes on mud. Another wolf clamps onto his arm, jerking violently. You hear the sound of tearing. You feel it in your stomach. Your hands fly to your mouth as if holding back your own scream might somehow protect you. The forest becomes a frenzy of motion. Snarls, shrieks, cracking bone, wet earth, and the sickening reality that no one is coming to save any of you. This is not your century. There are no guns, no emergency services, no flashlights, no fences, no tranquilizer darts, just hunger, teeth, cold, and the night. One of the wolves notices you. Its head lifts. Blood darkens the fur around its jaw. It sniffs the air. Your breath catches. Its eyes find yours. A cold intelligence studies you. Not evil, not malicious, but primal and efficient. You are small, weak, injured, easy. The wolf takes one silent step toward you. Your fingers dig into the bark behind you, nails cracking against the rough wood. You're frozen. The kind of paralysis that isn't fear, but something deeper, older, something wired into your DNA long before civilization existed. Then a sound breaks through the chaos, a bell, deep, heavy, echoing through the woods like a heartbeat carved from iron. The church bell. Someone in the village heard the screams. The wolf's ears twitch. It looks back toward the pack. The others pause, mid-feast, lifting their blood-soaked muzzles. The bell rings again, louder, closer. Wolves know what bells mean. Humans are coming, with fire. The pack retreats as one creature, disappearing into the trees so quietly it feels like the night is reclaiming its own shadows. Within seconds, they vanish entirely, as if swallowed by the forest floor. The clearing grows silent except for the sound of your own shaking breath and the faint crackle of frozen leaves. You're alive, but not safe, not even close. Then the bushes behind you rustle, slow, deliberate, in whatever is approaching is not a wolf, not with footsteps like that, not with that slow, careful, heavy pace. You press your back against the tree, trying to make yourself smaller, but the darkness swallows everything except the dull thud of footsteps. One step, then another. Whatever it is, knows exactly where you are. The footsteps stop just outside your hiding place, and for a moment the forest becomes so quiet you can hear your heartbeat bouncing off the inside of your skull. You press your palm against the tree trunk, fingers numb, breath shaking, every bone in your body locked in place as if movement alone could summon death. A figure steps into view. Not a wolf, not a villager, not someone carrying a torch, just a man, or at least the outline of one. Tall, hooded, moving with a calmness so unnatural in this chaos that it chills you more than the wolves did. He crouches near the corpse of one of the outlaws, his hands hovering over the torn flesh as if studying it. The silence around him feels intentional, heavy. Like the night itself bends inward to hear what he's doing. Then he lifts his head. He looks directly at you. You don't know how. You didn't move, you didn't breathe. But he finds you anyway. His hood shifts slightly, revealing eyes that catch what little ambient moonlight bleeds through the branches. Not wide, not startled, just steady, focused, almost curious. People in the Middle Ages feared three things after dark: wolves, wandering spirits, and strangers with no clear purpose. And this man is all three, wrapped into one silhouette. He rises slowly, deliberately. No weapon in his hands, but that doesn't comfort you. In this world, someone didn't need a blade to be dangerous. Knowledge alone could condemn you. A mere accusation, witchcraft, demon possession, heresy, was enough to end a life. He takes a step toward you. You finally manage to inhale, but the breath scrapes your throat like broken glass. The man stops a few feet away, tilting his head. He says something under his breath, a phrase you can't recognize. It's not English, it's not Latin, it's not any language you've ever heard spoken aloud. It sounds older, earthier, like a prayer passed down without writing. He reaches out a hand, not aggressively, not quickly, just offering it, as if inviting you to stand. You hesitate. You want to scream, to run, to claw your way back to some version of safety. But there is nowhere to go. The forest is endless, black, indifferent. The wolves are still out there, watching, waiting for darkness to reclaim its noise. Your options are limited. A stranger in the dark, or certain death. Your hand inches forward, trembling, mind screaming at your body to stop. A shout slices through the trees. More voices, more bells, more torches approaching. The man's head snaps toward the sound. His hand withdraws instantly. He takes 2 steps back, then disappears into the shadows as if pulled by the darkness itself. Not a branch snaps. Not a leaf rustles. It's like he was never there. Torches break through the tree line moments later. Villagers, maybe a dozen of them, some holding pitchforks, others axes, others nothing but raw fear etched across their faces. Medieval people didn't wander into the woods at night. For them to be here meant one thing. They heard the wolves. They heard the screams. They expected bodies. When they find you hunched behind the tree, they freeze. You look wrong. You look foreign. Your clothes don't match any trade, any region, any status. Your expression is wild, unfocused, haunted. You try to speak, to explain, to form a sentence that won't get you killed. But your voice is cracked, shredded by fear. The words fall apart, sounding like nonsense to ears that already suspect the worst. One of the villagers murmurs a word under his breath. Worm-touched. Another steps closer, torch raised. His eyes lock onto yours with superstitious dread. Night-marked. These aren't insults. They are diagnoses. In the medieval worldview, you're not simply a stranger. You're someone the night has claimed. Someone who survived something no human should. Someone changed. Two men approach. Rough hands grab your arms. Not viciously, but firmly. They lift you to your feet. Your legs almost fold beneath you. They speak to each other quickly, urgently. You catch fragments. The wolves. The bodies. Not natural. Must tell the priest. The priest. Your blood goes cold. In the Middle Ages, a priest wasn't just a religious figure. He was the gatekeeper of the unseen world, judge of possession, interpreter of omens, prosecutor of the unnatural. Anything strange, unexplained, foreign, or simply unlucky could be placed in his hands. And he had the authority to decide whether you lived or died. The villagers drag you through the forest, your feet scraping the ground. Moonlight flickers through branches like knife slits. Every sound feels amplified. The rustling leaves, the distant cry of an owl, the lingering echo of wolf howls. By the time you see the village again, your legs barely work. Small huts huddle together behind wooden fences. Smoke curls weakly from chimneys. Dogs bark frantically as the villagers approach. Doors creak open. Sleepy faces peer out, illuminated by flickering flames. They stare at you as if you're a ghost, as if you shouldn't exist. You hear someone whisper. Found after the bells. Alone in the woods. No blood on him. How? Maybe the wolves rejected him. Maybe he's cursed. The last phrase ripples through the crowd like wind through wheat. Cursed. If that idea takes root, nothing will save you. Not reason, not pleading, not truth. Fear is the strongest authority in this place. The villagers stop in front of a stone building. The church, small, modest, but terrifying in the power it holds. A wooden door creaks open, spilling warm light onto the frozen ground. A silhouette appears, the priest. He steps forward slowly, his expression unreadable in the half-light. His robe drags across the dirt. His eyes take in every detail of you. Your strange clothing, your trembling hands, the terror carved into your face, the wounds on your arms, the absence of wolf bites. Then he asks one question, a question that seals your fate. What were you doing alone in the forest after God had shuttered the sky? You stand before the priest like an animal pulled from the jaws of something ancient and hungry. The villagers crowd behind you, murmuring to each other in fractured whispers, their breaths forming ghost-like clouds in the cold air. You can feel their fear pressing against your back like a wall. Not fear for you, fear of you. The priest steps closer. His face is lined, hard, carved by years of staring into the darkness and trying to convince himself that faith held more power than the things that lurked outside the church walls. His eyes move slowly from your face to your clothes, then to the bruises on your arms. He touches nothing, but his gaze feels like a probing finger pressing against the truth of your existence. You speak, he asks. Your mouth opens, but your tongue feels thick, heavy, useless. The villagers lean in as you attempt the simplest word, yes, but what comes out is cracked by cold, fear, and exhaustion. It sounds wrong to their ears, too smooth, too modern, too foreign. The dialect alone betrays you. The priest's expression doesn't change, but something behind his eyes sharpens. He lowers his voice. Repeat after me. He recites a short prayer in Latin. The words flow from him with the ease of muscle memory. You recognize fragments, old remnants of church hymns you heard as a child, but your mind is too fractured to repeat them. When you attempt to form the first syllable, it collapses. A woman in the crowd gasps. Another crosses herself. The priest watches carefully, reading your failure like a symptom. He signals two men. They grip your arms again, less violently than the outlaws, but with a purpose far more frightening. They pull you through the church door. The wooden threshold groans under your weight. The interior is dim, lit only by a few candles arranged beneath a crude wooden crucifix. The room is cold, colder than outside, as if the stone walls trap every breath, every secret, every fear that has ever been confessed here. The men force you onto a bench near the altar. A candle flames beside you, flickering with every tremor in your hands. The priest circles you slowly. In the forest, he begins, after the bells, you survived. His tone carries accusation, not admiration. 3 men did not! The villagers murmur again outside the door. Their fear is a pulse, a heartbeat, a verdict waiting to be spoken aloud. The priest stops in front of you. In God's night, he continues, survival is never random. He kneels down until his face is level with yours. What touched you out there? You shake your head weakly. He presses further. What answered you? What guided you? What kept you from the wolves? Speak plainly. His breath smells of bitter herbs. His eyes reflect candlelight like 2 shards of polished obsidian. You want to tell the truth, but the truth is impossible. The truth is that you are not from this time. The truth is that everything about you is wrong. You whisper, I don't know. The priest inhales sharply. One of the men beside you tightens his grip. The priest rises. Fetch the bowl, he commands. Your stomach twists. They bring a wooden basin filled with water drawn from a well. The priest holds it up to the candlelight. The surface shakes, reflecting distorted shapes. Your face, his face, a warped cross. He turns back to you. In our world, he says quietly, darkness marks the weak, but it chooses the willing. He places the basin on the altar. We will see which one you are, and the test begins. The priest lifts a small iron rod from the table, a thin piece of metal, darkened by countless previous rituals. He holds it above the candle flame. The metal glows faintly, absorbing the heat, the light, the silent expectation of everyone watching. You feel the room shrink around you, its shadows gathering in corners like witnesses waiting for a verdict. The priest finally turns toward you. This will reveal what words cannot. Your pulse drums so hard you can feel it in your teeth. The men hold your arms tighter. You try to pull away, but their grip only tightens, grounding you, pinning you to the moment. The iron touches the edge of the basin. Shh! Steam curls upward, a purification ritual, an ordeal. Not enough to kill, just enough to reveal truth. He dips the glowing iron rod into the water, stirring gently, whispering prayers so quietly you can barely catch them. The water hisses around the metal, shaking with each circle he draws, until finally he removes the rod and sets it aside. He looks at you. Place your hands in the water. Your breath catches. The men force your wrists forward. No, you whisper, voice cracking, but they push harder, lowering your arms toward the steaming basin. The priest watches your reaction, not the water. They plunge your hands in. The shock is immediate, not burning, not scalding, but freezing, ice, not water. You gasp in confusion, pain shooting up your arms. The villagers murmur outside the church door. You hear someone whisper, cold as grave soil. He's marked. He's not natural. The priest's gaze sharpens. It refuses to warm. He murmurs, that is not the water. That is you. You try to pull your hands out, but the men hold them submerged, gripping your wrists like iron shackles. Your fingers numb. Your bones ache. Your vision wavers. The priest stands tall again, voice deepening. You arrived alone, in the wolves' night, with strangers dead beside you, and the forest spared you. He leans closer. Why? You shake your head, trembling violently. I don't know. I don't. Lies! He snaps. He signals the men. They yank you backward, dragging you across the floor. Your hands drip the icy water, leaving streaks like frozen tears on the stones. And one man ties your wrists together with rough rope. Another fastens your ankles. They lift you to your feet, half holding, half carrying you. The priest opens a wooden door at the back of the church. Darkness spills out like breath from a buried cavern. The air shifts, cold, stale, suffocating, a cellar, or worse, a holding chamber for those awaiting judgment. You want to scream. You want to fight. But your body is too weak, your mind too fractured, your spirit too numb. They drag you inside. The priest follows, a single candle in his hand. He sets it on a table near an old wooden chair. Ropes hang from the ceiling. Rusted tools rest on a shelf. Not sharp ones. Those were for executions. These tools were slower, more intimate. Your knees buckle. The priest gestures for the men to tie you to the chair. When it's done, he stands before you, candle flickering against his stern, weathered face. In this world, he says softly, the night does not lie. It sees everything. It judges everything. And it changes those who wander inside it. He lifts your chin with 2 fingers. I must know whether you belong to God. His voice drops to a whisper, or whether the night has claimed you. He blows out the candle. Darkness consumes everything. The darkness in the cellar is suffocating. Not natural darkness. A thick, heavy void that presses against your skin and crawls into your lungs. You can't see your hands, you can't see the ropes, you can't see the priest standing somewhere in front of you. But you can hear him. His breath, slow, measured, too calm. Your heart crashes wildly in your chest, drowning out the distant murmurs from above. The cellar feels alive, as if the stone walls carry the echoes of every prisoner who sat in this same chair, waiting for dawn or judgment. A sound clicks. Metal. Soft. Deliberate. Your entire body tenses. Then the priest speaks. Do you know what people fear most in the night? He asks, his voice drifting through the dark like smoke. It is not demons, not spirits, not wolves. He moves behind you. You feel the shift in the air, but nothing else. It is the thought, he continues, that the darkness might reveal something true. Something cold touches your forearm. You jerk violently, instinct overpowering reason. But the rope bites deeper into your wrists, cutting your skin. The priest's hand steadies you by the shoulder, not cruel, but firm. Calm yourself, he says. This is not pain, not yet. The cold object traces a line along your skin, a pattern, not a wound. You realize he's drawing a symbol, something circular, something ancient, not Latin, not Christian, something older. You shiver uncontrollably. What are you doing, you whisper? Silence. The priest steps in front of you. You still can't see him, but you feel him, his breath, his presence, the weight of his authority. He places one hand on your chest, your pulse hammers against his palm. You claim you do not know what happened in the forest, he says, but the night knows, the wolves know, the villagers know, and God sees everything. You swallow hard, throat dry. I didn't. He presses his hand harder against your chest. Hush, he murmurs. The innocent scream too much, the guilty speak too quickly. He tilts his head, studying your breathing. You do not know which one you are. He lifts the cold object again. This time he touches your throat. You feel a line of cold metal glide along your skin, so precise, so gentle, it almost feels intimate. Not a blade, a tool, a divining instrument. He whispers a prayer. The words are unfamiliar, not Latin, not any church language. A ritual outside doctrine, a ritual of fear. You tremble uncontrollably. He lowers the tool and steps back. Enough. A door creaks above. Footsteps. Someone calls to him, urgent, breathless. He stands still for a long moment. Then he speaks softly. Whatever you are, dawn will reveal it. He leaves the cellar. The door closes, and the darkness becomes your only companion. Hours pass, maybe. Time dissolves, your mind unravels, your breath becomes shallow, and then you hear something. Not footsteps, not voices, not the priest, breathing, not human, low, slow, wet. Something is inside the cellar with you, and it is not afraid. At first you think your mind is playing tricks, twisting the echoes of the cellar into shapes of fear. But then the breathing grows louder, closer, rhythmic, as if whatever it is tasting the air between you. You freeze. Your blood feels cold, your fingers numb, your throat tightens so hard you can barely swallow. The breathing shifts to your right, then your left, then behind you, circling. Your heart pounds so violently the chair vibrates beneath you. Your wrists ache against the rope. You want to scream, but the sound traps itself in your lungs, too afraid to leave your body. A soft scrape echoes in the darkness. Claws against stone. You exhale shakily. The movement echoes loudly like a confession. The thing stops. Silence. Then slowly, it inhales. Long, deep, like it's pulling the scent of your fear into its lungs. You choke on a sob. This can't be happening. There were no monsters in the Middle Ages. There were no demons in cellars. There were no creatures hiding in the dark. But people believed there were. And here, belief is enough. You hear another scrape, closer this time, claws dragging along the floor. You try to convince yourself it's a rat, a dog, something natural. But the weight of the movement, heavy, deliberate, makes your stomach drop. Whatever's here is large, too large. A faint exhale brushes the side of your neck. You jerk violently, almost tipping the chair, a strangled cry ripping from your throat. The ropes burn your wrists. Your breath races out of control. The breathing moves again, slow, dragging, as if the thing is pulling itself closer to the sound of your panic. Then, a whisper, not spoken in any language you know, not human, wet, jagged, too close to your ear. You shudder violently. Your entire body trembles. Tears spill from your eyes before you can stop them. Please, you gasp. Please. The whisper stops. Silence swallows the cellar. Then you hear footsteps above, multiple voices, the priest calling your name. The cellar door swings open. Light floods down the stairs, dim but blinding after the suffocating dark. The villagers gather behind him, faces pale, tense, afraid for reasons that have nothing to do with you. The priest steps onto the stairs. "What happened?" he demands. Your voice breaks into a cracked, hysterical whisper. "Something down here, with me." The priest's face changes, not confusion, recognition, fear. He signals the men. "Untie him, now." They rush to you, cutting the ropes, lifting your numb body from the chair. You collapse forward, legs barely working. They drag you up the stairs into the half-light of dawn. You glance back once. Just once. Something in the cellar moves. A shadow withdrawing into darkness. Not human. The priest slams the door. He locks it. And he whispers a prayer, not meant for you, but meant to keep something else inside. They drag you out of the cellar, like a man recovering from death itself. Dawn has begun to stain the sky with a dull grey, but nothing about it feels warm or safe. The villagers form a circle around you, their fear now mixed with something else. Doubt, suspicion, the instinct to protect themselves from whatever followed you out of the night. The priest kneels in front of you, gripping your shoulders with trembling hands. "What did you see?" he demands. You shake your head, unable to speak. Your teeth chatter from cold or terror, you can't tell which. Your body still feels the weight of the darkness pressing against it, the whisper that wasn't human, the presence that shouldn't exist. The priest closes his eyes, whispering under his breath. Not a prayer, a confession. When he opens them again, something inside him has changed. He stands and faces the villagers. This one cannot remain here. A wave of murmurs passes over the crowd. Some nod, some step back, some cross themselves repeatedly as if trying to ward off a curse that clings to the air. "Where do we take him?" someone asks. The priest doesn't answer immediately. He looks toward the forest, the same forest you barely escaped. The same forest that holds wolves, shadows, outlaws, and something else. Finally he says, "To the boundary stone." The villagers stiffen, their eyes widen. A collective breath is sucked from the air. No one likes the boundary stone. No one goes near it, not in daylight, not ever. It marks the edge between their world and the world they fear. The men lift you to your feet and begin walking. Your legs barely respond, dragging through frost and mud. Villagers watch from their doorways as you pass. Mothers pull children inside. Men avert their eyes. You're not a person to them anymore. You're a question, an omen, a disturbance in the fragile balance between faith and fear. The priest walks beside you, silent, gripping his rosary with white knuckles. Every so often he looks at you, not with hatred, but with pity. The kind of pity reserved for a wounded animal that cannot be saved. When the forest opens into a clearing, you see it. A towering stone, ancient and cracked, covered in moss and symbols, weathered beyond recognition. It stands alone like a grave marker for a world older than theirs, older than anything humans understand. The villagers stop several feet away, refusing to step closer. The priest motions for the men to place you at the base of the stone. They lower you gently, almost reverently, as if scared that mishandling you might provoke something watching from the other side. The priest crouches beside you. You survived what no man should survive, he says quietly, and something followed you back. Your breath hitches. He continues, the cellar, the darkness that was not meant for this world. The night marked you, but it also spared you. He pauses. No creature of God does that. He stands, stepping back. When the sun rises fully, if you live, you may go, if not. He doesn't finish. Villagers retreat in silence, leaving you alone with the stone, the forest, and the lingering weight of something that still watches you from the darkness it calls home. You curl against the stone, shaking. Time stretches, the cold deepens. Then you hear it. Behind you. A breath. Slow. Low. Familiar. The same breath from the cellar, the same presence. You don't turn, you can't. But a voice, if it can even be called that, leans close to your ear, whispering words that slide down your spine like ice. Not language, not meaning, just intent. Then, silence. The presence withdraws, the air releases. Your lungs fill fully for the first time since the night began. And when sunlight breaks over the horizon, warming your face, something inside you loosens. You're alive. Barely, but alive. You stand on unsteady legs. No villagers block your path. No priest bars your way. The boundary stone casts a long shadow behind you, pointing toward a world you'll never understand. You walk. Only when you reach the hilltop and look back do you realize the truth. The forest hasn't moved. The village hasn't moved. But the shadow behind the boundary stone is gone. And with it, whatever the medieval night tried to claim. You survived. But you will never escape what followed you there. Because in the Middle Ages, night wasn't just darkness. Night was alive. And it remembered you.